It's been a little while since we last did a show here, but how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bud. I mean, even though we haven't done the show as often, the great thing is we've kept in touch this entire time. And I think that's what makes this great.
Oh yeah, because just been busy with other things and all that.
Yeah. No, everyone gets busy.
But anyways, let's recap last week. Before we talk, let's talk about the Giants and Bears game first, which basically costed Brian Dable his job. Do you have any thoughts on was this a happy day for you when the Giants decided to part ways with Brian Dable?
I mean, I've said on a couple of occasions, the Giants were going to keep Brian Dable depending on how they did. If they won some games that they could have lost, if they had a good win-loss record depending on how they were playing, I think if they showed improvement, then maybe he would stay. But at 2-8 record and then having multiple defensive collapses late in the fourth quarter, I think this had to be done. Mike Kafka, the offensive coordinator, was promoted to head coach for the rest of the season, at least. And Shane Bowen still has a job. And Shane Bowen's the defensive coordinator. He's been awful. And listen, as much as it sucks to lose another head coach, I think at the same time, you see what you have with Jackson Dart. You see what you have with the defense or some of the personnel you have on defense. When Cam Scottaboo and Malik Neighbors come back, I think next year this team is going to be good. They just need better coaching.
You're absolutely right. The coaching is just not there for the Giants this year. And, Brian Dable, basically, he started in his first year. He was 7-2, coach of the year. Rest of the time, it's been total but disaster.
Yeah, you mentioned his first year. I remember they won a playoff game in Minnesota that year. I remember that game. I was happy that day. But it just shows that the NFL is a what have you done for me lately league. And ever since his first year, Brian Dable and the Giants have gone down.
Yeah, and you talk about Daniel Jones in the Colts in a whole different blood, you know?
Yeah, you sent me the image of Daniel Jones being 8-2 and the Giants at 2-8. And listen, I can't not bash Daniel Jones. I'm happy for him. I think he's probably going to win Comeback Player of the Year, which he deserves. And the Colts look really good. They have one of the best rosters in the NFL right now, and I think that having a great offensive line and great receivers is great for Daniel Jones. And the fact that he doesn't have to deal with the New York market, I think, is also beneficial.
Yeah, this is probably a good market for him to be in, But
yeah.
But anyways, now we talk about the Patriots beating the Buccaneers 28-3. I mean, you talk about the Patriots turning things around with the Mike Vrabel era. It has something to do with the Mike Vrabel effect.
Absolutely does. One thing that really stood out to me, and I think you saw this as well, was when they had 4th and goal from the 2-yard line with seconds left to go in the half in the first half against Tampa Bay on Sunday. Mike Vrabel had the cojones and channeling his inner Dan Campbell to go for it, and it paid off. They got the score right before the half, and they had the momentum, and they just never looked back. I think that Drake May has been incredible this year, to say the least. And I think the defense has been very good. I think discipline, which was a big problem last year for the Patriots, has been cleared up. I think Mike Vrabel was dying to get a shot at head coach again, and I think he wasn't going to take it for granted. And I know you're glad that he's in New England because former player, it only makes sense. And he's been amazing. He's probably coach of the year.
Yeah, he's been nothing but amazing. In coaching nothing but amazing so far. But I'm so glad that he got out of Tennessee because, the Titans are kind of a dysfunctional organization. And I think that he wanted to – I think he just couldn't wait to get out of there and be scapegoated.
Yeah, I think the Titans firing him was almost like a blessing in disguise for him. While he was out of football for a year or two looking to get a job, he found the job he wanted, and he's excelling. And the roster is from top to bottom, very well-rounded. And right now, Loro, don't look now, but the Patriots have a 2-game lead in the AFC East.
Really not thinking about that yet, but I'll tell you, talk about, the some late afternoon. I mean, talk about that Rams-Niners game. It tells me something like, the Niners are a good team, but the Rams are starting to play very good football at the perfect time right now.
And I think part of the factor as to why the Rams are playing so well is Matthew Stafford turning back the clock. The guy is 40 years old, but he's playing at a very, very high level. I think Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams have definitely helped him out. The defense could be better, but I think Matthew Stafford wants to try to prove that he deserves more recognition. I mean, you look at that era of the late 2000s, Matthew Stafford's kind of like the outsider, but I think that as he's spent more and more time in LA, we're starting to appreciate him more and more for what he's done. And I think that this is a case example.
Absolutely it is, because he was good in Detroit, but I didn't think the Lions helped him enough.
No, I mean, he did have Calvin Johnson during his time in Detroit, but like you said, it didn't really pan out. Coaching wasn't great, but having Sean McVay, a young offensive mind, a young offensive genius, working with another young offensive genius in Matthew Stafford, the two are just inseparable. And I think that great minds think alike, and you're seeing it translate in LA.
And then for Sunday Night Football, I mean, the Steelers just got blown up by the Chargers. I don't think we need to waste our time talking about that game, because the Chargers just put the hammer on them and basically put Aaron Rodgers into straight. They just sent Aaron Rodgers a very strong message.
And I think part of the message is, as much as I like Aaron Rodgers and respect everything he's done, you can tell that he looks like he's on his last year, because it's just not been the Aaron Rodgers of old that we're capable of. I think that Aaron Rodgers is gone. I think once Aaron Rodgers retires after the season, I think Pittsburgh's going to be looking at a new quarterback, probably Kyler Murray, like we discussed earlier. And I think Pittsburgh, I love Mike Tomlin, and I think he gets the players to play. But you can't keep riding the same roster year after year after year and expecting to make a run at a Super Bowl. Like right now, this Pittsburgh team is a shell of what they used to be back in the 2010s. And they need to get back to that. Whether it requires firing Mike Tomlin, I don't know. But the old stuff isn't working anymore.
And then Monday Night Football, it was good. It was a defensive showdown, but both offenses were awful yesterday with the Eagles and Packers. It was tough to watch.
It was putrid, especially for people like you who love offensive football. It was just a putrid offensive game.
It was boring. I got bored watching the same thing over and over again.
I mean, like, the Eagles, for as good as they are almost one-dimensional. Running play after running play after running play, and a quick slant to A.J. Brown. Like, it was boring. And listen, credit to the Eagles. They got the win in freezing cold Green Bay, Wisconsin, but they did not look like an elite team.
Well, they did not, but talk about Thursday Night Football for a minute. I mean, that was another game that looked a little boring, but the Denver Broncos always find ways to win.
Oh, man. Again, defense being the theme here. The Raiders actually played surprisingly well, but Bo Nix continues to shine when he needs to, making the plays necessary at the right time. And unfortunately, the Raiders, Pete Carroll, I respect you. You're 74, but I think it's time, man. I think it's time.
Then we talk about the Falcons and Colts playing in Germany.
Yeah.
I mean, the Falcons they've had tough luck losses recently, but I still think they are a very talented team. But the Colts are just on a different level with Indiana Jones and all that.
Well, part of the reason why the Colts are so good is the man who I think should be NFL MVP, and that's Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor ran for 244 yards and 3 touchdowns in Germany. The Falcons looked like children trying to tackle him. And this is the guy who's been in MVP conversations before. And I know you've said it before, the quarterback usually gets the MVP award. I think that narrative needs to change. We haven't seen it since 2012 when Adrian Peterson did it, and I think it changes this year.
It might change, man. You might be right about that.
I hope so. Because like I said, no offense to Drake May and Matthew Stafford. They both have done very, very well this year. But I think the best player in the league is the guy who just dominates. Like, in my opinion, NFL MVP is the most valuable player across the entire league. Jonathan Taylor has 4 games where he scored 3 touchdowns or more. And I think that should be absolutely commended and absolutely awarded. Matt, like I said, quarterbacks run the league, but I think a running back should take the award this year.
You might be right, but I think we'll see. But anyways, now we will talk about some other. Let's talk about now our Week 11 picks. So the New York Jets, you were at that game last week. They won the game against the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cleveland Browns. Sorry. And the New England Patriots are playing on a different level. No need to waste our time picking this game. I think the New England Patriots will come out on top.
Patriots are going to probably mop the floor with the Jets in Gillette Stadium. And also, Robert Gronkowski will probably be honored that game. He did sign a 1-day contract with New England yesterday. And I think that there's going to be a lot of excitement in the air in New England. I'm taking the Patriots.
There will be. And then the Miami Dolphins take on the Washington Commanders in Spain. But talking about the Commanders, it was a rough loss. I mean, their season has just not really gone their way this year. With all these injuries that they've had to mount, my goodness.
Yeah, it's a shame because the Commanders looked like they were going to build upon a very successful season last year, but then Jane Daniels goes down and Terry McLaurin goes down, and it's just there's been no real star on that reserve team. Like Marcus Mariota, you can only do so much. I think he's probably past his prime at this point, and at this point, I think if you're the Commanders, I think you got to just get your guys healthy and play next year.
Oh, yeah. I still think the Commanders are a talented team when they're healthy.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
It's just the injury bug has just really got to them this year.
Yeah, and, you're going to get one team or two that has the injury bug, and usually that unfortunately hurts their chance of making the playoffs, and unfortunately that had to be the Commanders this year.
The Green Bay Packers are playing the New York Giants. I know that they didn't play well against the Eagles yesterday, but I think the Green Bay Packers find a way to get a win. A lot of people are already blaming Matt LaFleur for the Eagles' loss, but I don't really think it's his fault.
Well, back-to-back home losses for the first time in several years. Not exactly ideal for Packer fans, and the fact that tie is being a hindrance to them winning the division and maybe being a wild card is huge. But the Giants are bad. Mike Kafka's first game as head coach. Jackson Dart's in concussion protocol. I hope he clears, but I think the Packers win this game.
Yeah, because the Giants are just not there yet.
Nope, not yet.
The Houston Texans last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, they saved their season with a win. And, C.J. Stroud didn't play. Davis Mills engined that fourth quarter comeback. And when you talk about the Houston Texans trying to keep pace for a wild card spot, and hopefully they get C.J. Stroud back here. But I think the Texans get another win to save their season.
Tennessee's just bad. I'm taking the Texans.
That didn't want to waste our time talking about that game because the Houston Texans are starting to play good football right now.
Yeah, they've hit their stride, but like I said, they should have no problem taking care of the Titans. It's just been disastrous for Cam Warren in his rookie season.
Well, the Carolina Panthers, let me tell you, who would lose to the Saints?
Ouch.
Like, the Saints don't have what you would call this? The Saints just, I think Kellen Moore is going to get them to play. I think he's the right coach for now and the future. But come on. You lose to a Tyler So-led Saints team? Come on.
That the Saints, surprisingly, with a new QB, came to play. And listen, I think Kellen Moore has done a good job for what it's worth. The Saints need a lot of work, but the Panthers losing the Saints is inexcusable. I think that, especially for a team contending for a playoff spot or in the conversation for a playoff spot, this has got to be embarrassing.
They're playing the Falcons, and the Panthers did, however, beat the Falcons back early on in the season when these two teams met in Charlotte.
It's interesting because the Bryce Young has owned the Falcons over the last couple of years, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers come into Atlanta and maybe win. But this Falcons team is very talented.
They are, but they've had some tough luck losses. I'm going to go with the
Big
Falcons here because Michael Penix Jr. and Bijan Robinson are about to run on that Carolina defense.
I want to say Carolina, but I think the Falcons are going to prove me wrong. I think that even though, and also Drake London has also had an amazing year. I think this Panthers defense just needs a lot of work. Give me the Falcons.
Well, these two teams met on Monday Night Football to start Week 1, but they meet again in U.S. Bank Stadium where it's going to be loud and crazy. I think the Vikings are playing very good football as of late. The Chicago Bears have surprised everybody. This is a very, very tough NFC North. I'm going to go with the Vikings at home. I just think J.J. McCarthy is already starting to show why the reason why the Vikings drafted him to be their franchise quarterback.
Even though there's a small sample size, J.J. McCarthy is talented, but I got to give a lot of respect to Ben Johnson for turning Caleb Williams around so far this year. He has been incredible compared to last year. And the Bears look like they're poised to maybe make a playoff push. They're in playoff position right now. They haven't had a good quarterback play in their history. They haven't had a 4,000-yard passer at all. And I think Caleb Williams might just do that. I know the Vikings are at home, but give me the Bears. Da Bears.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Bears didn't beat the Vikings in Week 1 back at Soldier Field, but the way the Bears have been playing right now, it's been Ben Johnson has this team on a whole different level.
And I'm honestly very impressed with how this Bears team's been playing. And they look so much better.
Well, I mean, now we talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars unfortunately collapsing to the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
They're 5-4 on the year, going up against the Chargers team that is 7-3. I mean, if you look at the Jaguars, I think they're playing a lot better than what people think, but they've had a tough luck loss last week in Houston.
Yeah, this is in Duval County. The Chargers are really playing well. They're hitting on all cylinders, and I love the way that Jim Harbaugh gets this team to play. I don't know what kind of messages he sends in the locker room, but it works. And Justin Herbert is amazing. And the Jaguars are trying to get in the playoffs. They're trying to beat out Kansas City, but in a game like this, I got to take the Chargers.
Absolutely, I got to as well. I mean, the Jags, they're not the worst team like last year. I just think the Jags, they started out well, then they've hit a little bump on the road, but I think Liam Cohn has really got this team playing.
And you know what? That's a positive sign. The problem, like I said, like they can't have losses like that where they were up by 19 late in the fourth quarter against the Texans on the road and then collapse like that. So they might hit a little bump. I mean, after the Chargers, they got to play a couple bad teams, and then they got to face the Colts at home, which should be a win. But the Colts are on a different level this year. Going to be interesting to see how this happens down the stretch.
You're saying that the Jags next week play the Indianapolis Colts?
Oh, no, in a few weeks. After the Chargers, they got the Cardinals and the Titans. They should win those two games. But then the game on Sunday, December 7th, at home against Indianapolis should be interesting.
It's because the Colts don't play well in Duval.
Haven't won a game in Duval in 10 years.
Do you think they finally snap it, or do the Jags control the win streak against the Colts in Duval?
We'll have to see what happens in 3 weeks' time, but I like the Colts' chances in this one as of now.
Well, the Buffalo Bills and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, both 6-3 teams, are playing each other. But I didn't expect the Bills to lose to the Dolphins. But you know what? I'm not ready to say the Patriots are going to win the division. I still think Buffalo can win some games from there on out. I think the Buffalo Bills get this win over Baker Mayfield.
Bills need a bounce back win in the worst way. I think this is the perfect game to do it. Josh Allen, as incredible as he is, has a problem with the turnovers. He has to limit those. He did not play well against Miami, as you mentioned earlier. Just got to keep control of the ball, protect the football. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills.
You said I picked the Miami Dolphins to beat the Commanders.
Yeah, I picked Miami as well.
Because the Dolphins are looking to just save people's jobs.
At this point, that's what they're trying to do.
Like they're trying to keep Mike McDaniel around. I know you're not fond of that.
Yeah, I think honestly, if they win this game against the Commanders to go to 4-7, I think McDaniel might be safe.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But the Bengals and Steelers. I mean, who to go for in that one? I mean, here's the thing: Joe Burrow is starting to practice.
Yep.
We might see him in a few weeks.
Yeah, within 21 days, there is the timeline to when we can see Joe Burrow again. And not going to lie, even though the season has not gone the way the Bengals hoped, you got to respect Joe Flacco for trying to hold the fort down. But I got the Steelers to win this one. I love the Bengals and what they're trying to do, but I think Pittsburgh's just better.
You're right. Pittsburgh is better, but they need to think about the long term at quarterback.
And I think in the Cincinnati side of things, I think it's probably too little too late. And I think it's too little too late, not just for the Bengals season, but also for Zach Taylor as well. I think his seat is scorching hot at this point.
Yeah, he might get fired at the end of the season, but on to the late afternoon games. I mean, the 49ers just had a rough loss to the Rams, and the Cardinals, what you saw was absolutely butt-kicking in Seattle.
God.
Like, you lose to Sam Darnold? Come on.
Yeah, and Sam Darnold didn't even have a good game. I'm just disappointed because I thought the Cardinals were going to be much better than this. I had them winning the NFC West, and this is how they play.
You don't fault Jonathan Gannon for this.
I don't know who's to blame for this. I think this is a total team failure. I really think it is.
Like, if you look at the Cardinals here, I mean, the Arizona Cardinals, I mean, they always keep you in games, but they've had some heartbreaking losses as of late.
And when's that narrative going to change? I mean, we've seen the Cardinals.
And here's the thing. Kyle Shanahan's going up against Jonathan Gannon on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we'll see if Kyle Shanahan can. I think the Niners are going to win this game.
I have the Niners winning this game too. I'm just very disappointed in Arizona. Their lack of discipline, their lack of hitting stride late in games, their just inconsistencies. Like, it just annoys me because I had so much faith in this team and they've let me down.
Well, the Rams and Seahawks play this Sunday, but next Sunday, I'll be seeing the Rams take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
And that should be a very fun football game. I mean, I haven't seen a Rams game at SoFi Stadium in person. I only saw the Chargers last year.
Right.
But in this game, I tell you, Cooper Kupp gets to play against his old team. The Seahawks are surprisingly good. You know, I thought Mike McDonald is not that good of a coach.
Well, he's proven everyone wrong, and I know you hate the word Sam Darnold, but he's making it work. He really has made it work. He made it work in Minnesota, and he's doing the same in Seattle. It's actually kind of remarkable.
You know, it kind of is remarkable to see where that trajectory is for Sam Darnold. But in this contest in particular here, I'm going to pick the Rams. I like the Rams at home. I think the Rams are going to continue to play the brand of football that we expect them to.
And I think I'm going to go with the Rams as well. And part of the reason is because their two receivers, Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, have been dominant. Matthew Stafford has been terrific. And I think that even though we love Sam Darnold so much as underdog fans, he does not play well in big games. So I'm going with the Rams.
Well, we got to talk about the Chiefs. I mean, after losing to the Buffalo Bills a week ago, they're playing in Denver. The Denver Broncos are finding ways to win, even in the ugliest way possible. And the Chiefs are trying to get back to get back to winning the division. I still think the Chiefs can win the division. I mean, the Chiefs are still the favorites to win the Super Bowl, but it's going to be hard for the Chiefs to make the Super Bowl for a fourth year in a row.
This is going to be a very, very difficult scenario for the Chiefs. Not only are they playing the Broncos, it's in Colorado, so obviously there's the altitude disadvantage. The Broncos have been playing very well, although you can never count out Patrick Mahomes, and you can never count out Travis Kelce, and you can never count out Andy Reid in this Chiefs team. The Chiefs are favored to win this one, even though it's in Denver. I'm probably going to stick with the Broncos, though. I just think this team is too talented.
I'm going to go with Denver Broncos as well. The Broncos did beat the Chiefs in Week 18 last year in Mile High, but
there's an asterisk next to that one because the Chiefs were playing their reserves at that point.
Yeah, that win didn't really count against the Denver Broncos.
No, it did not.
But we gotta the Denver Broncos, I think, have to play in a game against Patrick Mahomes. They've had trouble against him in the past, but I think Denver has a chance with Bo Nix, Sean Payton pulling all the right strings on offense.
Yeah.
I think Denver wins, but Kansas City could prove me wrong.
I think this is going to be a close one no matter what, but I think the Broncos win, and I think this is a chance for Bo Nix to shake off that dud of a game on Thursday and play elite-level football against the best team in the NFL over the last 5 years.
Well, Baltimore Ravens, who are starting to save their season, they were once upon a time were 1-5.
Yeah.
And now they're 4-5. And I still believe that they're going to win the division.
And you want to know something? I think, call me crazy, the AFC North race will be a tie at the end of this week. I know I picked the Steelers to win this week. I think hold on. I think in a couple weeks' time, we'll have a tie race. I know I picked the Steelers to beat the Bengals. I think the Ravens are going to easily dispatch the Browns. But when those two teams play each other, I think Baltimore is riding a wave of momentum, and I think that will continue here this week. But when they play Pittsburgh, that's going to be massive.
It is going to be massive. I have Baltimore beating Cleveland. I think that the Cleveland Browns are just terrible right now, and everybody's going to beat Cleveland.
Yeah, even the Jets beat Cleveland. And unfortunately, I love Kevin Stefanski as a coach. I just don't think I see him coaching this team long term.
No, he should get out of there. I think he'll get another head coaching opportunity, but I just don't see it being in Cleveland.
Yeah, listen, Kevin Stefanski is a good coach. He's won playoff games. He's taken it to the best of the best as Browns head coach. This team has shot themselves in the foot with the Deshaun Watson contract and Jimmy Haslam mismanaging his roster. I think the Browns need to go in a different direction. I think Kevin Stefanski needs to go somewhere else. Get out of Cleveland and go somewhere else where you can be utilized correctly.
The Cleveland Browns have always been an organization that's just not been successful at winning. Jimmy Haslam, he really doesn't know how to operate the Cleveland Browns.
No, he absolutely does not. And this has been the case ever since the Browns came back to the NFL in the 1999 season.
Well, Sunday Night Football, that's going to be a game I want to watch after the Patriots blow out the New York Jets, which I expect. The Eagles and Lions, man, that is going to be such good football right there.
Oh, yeah.
Like Jalen Hurts, Bama boys going at it. I'm picking the Eagles to win this game.
I love the Lions. But there's something about the Eagles, even though last night was terrible, this team just finds ways to win. And that was the case early in the year with the Eagles. They were playing ugly football to begin, but they found ways to win. That's what happened last night. And this was the problem with the Chiefs last year. They won in the ugliest and most despicable of ways, but they found ways to win. The name of the game in the NFL is to win. And the Eagles have proven that they can do that by any means necessary. I'm going with the Eagles.
Well, Monday Night Football, the Cowboys, they're playing with a heavy heart. And
Marshawn Leland, yeah.
With Marshawn Leland losing his life. We all know that the Cowboys are going to want to. I don't know who to pick in this one because the Cowboys seem to not play well against the Raiders. But since the Cowboys, I think, are playing with a heavy heart, I think I'm going to pick them to win this game.
Yeah, I think so too. For those of you who don't know what happened to Marshawn Leland, unfortunately, I hate to say this, he committed suicide, and that's how he took his life. It's a very, very heartbreaking situation, but obviously, the Cowboys are going to play with a heavy heart on prime time. You can only imagine how the players and fans are going to be. Also, call the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's open 24/7 if you are struggling with mental health.
Absolutely, you need to, to avoid suicide. You have to call that number, like you said.
Yes, absolutely.
So that you can take care of it right away and not commit to that.
Oh, 100%. Like, life is priceless and it shouldn't be thrown away.
Breaking news just in right now. Travis Hunter, the two-way star for the Jacksonville Jaguars, is done for the season.
Oh, no.
He underwent knee surgery to repair his LCL. It was a non-contact injury that he suffered. But talk about a guy that has been promising to start the year and has to end the season.
Such a terrible blow to Jacksonville. And I mentioned their chance of making the playoffs over Kansas City. That just took a big hit with this one. I think the last thing the Jaguars wanted was to lose one of their top receivers and top players overall. Two-way star could play both sides of the ball. Now the attention is going to shift all the way to Brian Thomas. Jacksonville's going to have a lot of work cut out for them.
You got Travis Etienne.
Yeah, and you have Brian Thomas.
And I think the Jags can be fine, but it's going to be a little hard.
It's going to be brutal in the final 8 weeks of the season.
Well, I mean, we got to talk about basketball right now because the Dallas Mavericks have fired Nico Harrison as general manager, and you talk about Dallas Mavericks fans are already rejoicing in the streets outside American Airlines Center, and you talk about them wanting them to fire Nico because they didn't like how he traded away Luka Doncic to my Lakers.
Oh my God!
I love Luka. Don't get me wrong about that, and I think Luka is the new face of the Lakers, and I love him here in LA and all that. But at the same time, Dallas Maverick fans finally got what they wanted.
All right. First off, when you trade your best player to the NBA for small peanuts, it made absolutely no sense from the get-go. I don't know what Nico Harrison was trying to do. I don't know who he talked to the night of the trade. I don't know why he thought this was a good idea. And listen, I know Anthony Davis was a former NBA Finals MVP with the Lakers, but the guy can never, ever, ever stay healthy. What happens when he first gets to Dallas? He hurts his knee and he's out for a month. It was just a bad, lopsided trade. And Nico Harrison, despite getting the number 1 pick, despite getting Cooper Flagg, they have gone nowhere this year. Like, Nico Harrison is at full blame for this debacle in Dallas. Like, it's not Jason Kidd. It's not the owner of Dallas Mavericks. It's
not Patrick Dumont and Mark Cuban.
No, it's not Mark Cuban's fault. It's not Patrick Dumont's fault. It's all squarely focused on Nico Harrison. He deserves 100% of the blame because I don't think he consulted anyone when trading Luka away, and this is what happens.
Yeah, I mean the Dallas Mavericks are 2-7 right now. Do you see them making the playoffs right now, or do you think they're going to just miss out?
Absolutely not. I think Cooper Flag is great, but to me, I just can't see this Dallas Mavericks team making the play-in tournament. I think this team has a long way to go, and I'm looking at the standings right now. I know we're only 10, 11 games in. They're second from the bottom behind the Pelicans in the West. Not good.
Yeah, the Mavericks, like, everybody should be excited about Cooper Flag. But this is Nico Harrison deserves every part of the blame for what he did in tearing down the Dallas Mavericks.
My question is, why wasn't this done after the season? Why wasn't this done before the draft? Why wasn't this done over the offseason? I think the reason why he got a little bit of a pass was because the Mavericks won the NBA draft lottery. That's a whole other conversation. But I think the reason why he stayed was because he figured, okay, we got the number one pick. Let's take Cooper Flag and see what we can do with it. But even in that sense, they did nothing with it.
No, Cooper Flag, I think, is their franchise player.
Yeah. But it's just like
Cooper Flag is going to be the franchise player for the Dallas Mavericks. But you do nothing with Anthony Davis, and you do nothing with Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like you got Kyrie and you got Anthony Davis, and what you had to do was not get rid of your star player. And what do? You get rid of your star player. Imagine what would have looked like in Dallas having Kyrie, Luka, and Cooper Flag on the same team.
But now, here we are.
Yep.
So the Dallas Mavericks are 2-7, and the Lakers, I think they won the trade in getting Luka Doncic.
Oh no, they're going to be good for the next 5 years.
And I'm so happy that the way we've been playing, like after losing to Atlanta, I was happy we got the win in Charlotte.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the main thing that you got to worry about, and I think the Lakers are going to make the playoffs, but one thing you got to keep an eye on, and this is very important, is Luka's conditioning. I know Luka typically doesn't have the best body. I know he's not really conditioned. I know he gets exhausted easily. I think Luka needs to keep taking care of his physique, keep taking care of his health, because when Luka is on, he's on. If he was in a better physical condition, oh my God, he'd be unstoppable.
Yeah, I think with LeBron coming back, I think the Lakers will be in somewhat full strength.
Yeah, and I think really the only thing stopping the Lakers from making the finals is probably the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think that's really it, but they could probably compete with OKC on their best day.
I think they could, but I still think OKC is going to repeat.
They very well could. I mean, they're doing really good. San Antonio with Victor Wembanyama, who's having an awesome start, as well as Dylan Harper, former Rutgers guy. San Antonio's doing very well. And I think the West is very stacked. I think you're actually seeing the best of the best come out in the conference. The Eastern Conference is kind of because the Pistons are number one and the Knicks are number two by a country mile.
And in Cleveland, I still think the Cleveland Cavaliers are still good too.
Cleveland is always good. It's just unfortunate that Boston has to go through a bad season not having Jason Tatum, and then the Pacers, when Tyrese Halliburton injured himself in the NBA Finals, you knew what was going to happen this year.
With the Boston Celtics, I still think they have a very competitive team without Tatum. I mean, it's been a tough start for them to the season, but I think that I still think they can still make the playoffs.
They can probably make the playoffs. I think this is a big opportunity for Jaylen Brown to prove his worth, because one of the big things with Jaylen Brown is that he's always played second fiddle to Tatum most of the time. Now that Tatum's gone, you need to step up and prove that you can be a number one guy.
Have you seen that in him so far?
Yeah, he's played well. Has he been the best player in the NBA? Absolutely not. But he's proven his worth.
I mean, the Sixers this year, they've had a surprising start to the year. I mean, the Philadelphia 76ers, if you look at their team, I think that with a fully healthy Joel Embiid, I mean, they started out well, but now 6-4. I think with a
Well,
fully healthy Joel Embiid, this is a very unstoppable Philadelphia 76ers team.
Well, part of the reason why they're also successful is because of their first-round draft pick and shooting guard, VJ Edgecombe from Baylor, who's been very, very solid. Guys averaging 16.3 points per game, and Tyrese Maxey's taken the lead as the Sixers captain, I guess you could say, which had to be done because you look at the PR stunts that Joel Embiid pulled last year. He doesn't deserve to be captain. Tyrese Maxey runs the show in Philly, and I think that that's how the system should be.
Absolutely, Tyrese Maxey should be running the show in Philly because he and who did you say again was another guard that
VJ Edgecombe. VJ Edgecombe, their first round pick out of Baylor.
VJ Edgecombe could be a sleeper for Rookie of the Year.
Absolutely.
And then your Brooklyn Nets, a 1-9 start to the season with Indiana 1-9, with Washington 1-10. Is this a smell of disaster for the Brooklyn Nets?
I saw them get blown up in Madison Square Garden on Sunday by 36 points, and I already knew the season was over at that point. And Cam Thomas hurt himself.
You got to punt the season if you're Brooklyn. The season's already been punted in Brooklyn.
Oh, it's done. At this point, Barclays Center is not a place for Nets basketball games. It's a place for Monday Night Raws and concerts.
And you might see the turnout at Barclays Center for Nets games not be as sold out.
Yeah, and a little quipper about the Brooklyn Nets now that you mentioned them. I have been rooting for this team ever since they were in New Jersey. And then when Jay-Z bought the team in 2012, you figured that things were going to change. But Jay-Z is not getting the return on investment that he got when he first bought the team. Jay-Z, as much as an icon as he is in the music industry, has not been any sort of help for this organization whatsoever. Joe Tsai and Sean Marks have been disastrous in handling the roster. Coaches have been awful. They've been coming and going as they please. And right now, there's just no consistency. Plus, Cam Thomas is hurt. The roster looks bad. So what do you think was going to happen? That we were just going to turn things around? No. And if only Kevin Durant's toe was not on the line in that 2021 playoffs, we would have been celebrating an NBA championship. But alas, here we are.
Absolutely. I think, the Brooklyn Nets are not a team that everybody's going to want to go to now.
Oh, it's not. It ain't good. It's not good.
Yeah, I mean, the Brooklyn Nets, who wants to go there?
Honest to God, as far as free agents are concerned, I have no idea. I see this team needs something to spark them. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's not going to be Cam Thomas because we tried with him. Our coaches have not gotten the job done. Our management have not gotten the job done. This team just needs a complete overhaul. I don't know what they're going to do.
Joe Tsai, I think, deserves all the blame here in Brooklyn.
Well, Joe Tsai, yeah, he's probably the first person you point the finger at. He's just been terrible managing this roster. He let Kevin Durant walk without a care. It was just bad. It's been bad the last few seasons.
And I think Kevin Durant has done it. I think he's basically now happy at being a Houston Rocket.
Yeah, because he's in his hometown.
And I think the Rockets are still. I think the Rockets are. I think the Rockets are a very solid team.
They are, and I think honestly, Kevin Durant smelled the end was near in Brooklyn, and he wanted to get out. And he got out of Phoenix, and now he's in Houston, like you mentioned. Brooklyn is just the place where people go to die, as far as their careers are concerned. It's just not a good environment, not a good market, not a good franchise. Bad.
Well, now that with baseball's off season here, I mean, talk about a wonderful World Series we got to see with the Dodgers and Jays, and I know you went a little overboard with the salary cap, with the Dodgers going back to back, and you think the Dodgers are ruining baseball. I don't think the Dodgers are ruining baseball. It's those crybaby fans that cry about teams not spending the money properly.
Well, there's a part of that makes sense. I mentioned the salary floor needs to have so bad in Major League Baseball. I think part of the reason why is because You see low market teams like the Brewers, yeah, they play well, but they don't spend money a lot. What did they get in the offseason last year? They got rid of Wilmer Flores, and then they really
Or are you
don't
talking about Willie Adames?
they got rid of Willie Adames, and then they really don't do anything. Yeah, the team's great, and their prospects are great. Like Bryce Terang had a good year. Jackson Churio's still playing good at 21. But
Caleb Durbin, I think he was third in the Rookie of the Year race.
yeah, he was third. He was third in the Rookie of the Year race. Like the Brewers had a really good year. Okay, that's fine. But the problem with teams like that is they rely a lot on their prospects to come out and be home run hitters and be big time playmakers, and that's what the Brewers got. However, if you wanted to really stamp your mark as a contender in the National League, you got to use your assets and your finances to maybe lure a big time free agent into Milwaukee. I understand that Wisconsin is not a big time baseball market, but when the team is good and you see they have the best record in baseball, you got to entice people financially to come to you, and the Brewers didn't do that.
Yeah, and then for the Dodgers, I mean, that World Series was legendary. I mean, the Jays gave the Dodgers a challenge, but at the same time, I thought the Dodgers were the better team.
It was. I think I can agree with that, and here's why. I think winning the 18-inning game, which kept me up to like 2:30 in the morning on a Monday, I thought like that was a game that decided it all. I know there was a game 7 that ended in 11 innings in Toronto, but if you could win in 18 innings, 11 innings, 10 innings, 12 innings, you name it, like you don't have to blow out teams all the time. Because one thing that I witnessed over this amazing postseason, Toronto was game in extra inning games. The Dodgers were used to blowing people out. They blew out Cincinnati. They blew out Philadelphia. The problem with that is while you are blowing teams out of the water, you can also prove that you can hang in there for long periods of time. And that's what the Dodgers did. Now, Ohtani had his moments. Freddie Freeman had his moments. But 1,000% Yoshinobu Yamamoto deserved World Series MVP. 1,000%.
It comes in full circle because in my show league, he was the World Series MVP against the Yanks.
Yeah, and it happens in real life here. I knew watching Game 7, after Yoshinobu Yamamoto came in the bottom of the 9th inning with 1 man out and the bases loaded, I knew as soon as he came in, the Blue Jays were going to extras. And Andy Pa has made a great defensive play out in the outfield in the bottom of the 9th to send it to extras.
And talk about Miguel Rojas being a World Series hero to tying the game with a home run. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, the top of the 9th inning when they had to have it. And then also Will Smith, who's won now 6 straight World Series, wins it for the Dodgers.
That's kind of the trend right now. But and then as for the Jays, you got to be proud of this run that they had. And I thought, the Toronto Blue Jays are not taken lightly now.
Oh, no. I think that they got a lot going for them. I think we've talked about before about how bringing Bo Bichette back has to be a key priority, and I absolutely think it is. But if you look at this roster, I mean, Trey Savage struck out 12 batters in Game 5 of the World Series, making the Dodgers look silly. I think he's going to be a young stud for years to come. I think that once Max Scherzer retires, which should be soon, the Blue Jays have a lot of prospects coming up as far as pitching is concerned. Vladdy's going to do Vladdy things. I think getting George Springer was huge. He came up big when he had to. I think the Blue Jays have new life. I think John Schneider revived his managerial career with this postseason. I just think that Toronto, while it's disappointing, you got to look at the positives.
Absolutely. But, it also comes in full circle that in my show league, I have the Dodgers starting the 26th season in Toronto.
That's correct.
And you like that decision.
Yep, I thought it was a good move on your part, and I think it just makes things so convenient, so coincidental.
Well, let's talk about our free agent predictions. Let's start with Bo Bichette, like you said. I predict Bo Bichette's going to stay with the Jays. I'm going to say 8 years, $260 million.
I would be surprised if he goes anywhere else. I think I got the Blue Jays re-signing him. I'm going to say 8 years, $250. I think that's a good price.
There's been reports that he's also drawn interest to not playing shortstop, he might play second or third base. Assuming he resigns with the Jays, do you think he switches out of shortstop and just plays second base?
This is the type of situation we saw last year with Rafael Devers, who didn't want to play DH in Boston and then played first in San Francisco, and that didn't really work out too well. I think if you're the Blue Jays and you see how important Bo Bichette is, you could just do whatever you want. I think it's also critical to understand from a financial standpoint and a player standpoint that to keep a player happy, you got to give him what he wants. And I think that's what the Blue Jays got to do.
Yeah, I think Bo Bichette ends up staying with the Jays.
Yeah.
And then we talk about Kyle Schwarber. I mean, the Cubs could be in for a reunion with him. But in the end, I think Kyle Schwarber stays in Philadelphia.
I think that happens as well. I think that Philadelphia have their star player. I think that they would not be in the NLDS without him. I think they wouldn't be a playoff contender without him. I think Kyle Schwarber stays. I think he probably signs a 6-year deal worth $210.
I'm with you on that. 6 years, $210. I'm with you on that. Kyle Tucker's been drawing interest with the Yankees, Blue Jays, and Dodgers. I think it's going to be between the Blue Jays and Dodgers for Kyle Tucker. I'm going to say Kyle Tucker signs with the Dodgers for 10 years, $460 million.
$460, my God.
Because I don't think the Cubs will meet I just don't think the Cubs will meet his demands.
Yeah, the asking price for Kyle Tucker is going to be really high. I'll say I think he signed with the Dodgers too. I'm going to say 9 years, $450, averaging $50 million a year.
Yeah, and I think you move Teoscar Hernandez to left field and you put Kyle Tucker in right.
Yeah, and then you take Conforto out of there.
Yeah, that's why I'm predicting Kyle Tucker's going to be a Dodger.
Yeah.
Alex Bregman. Where does he go? For me, it's between the Red Sox and Tigers. But I'm going to say he's going to stay in Boston.
The Tigers are in a big predicament financially. Not only do they have to worry about signing a free agent, they got to also keep Tarek Skubal happy. I'm going to say that Boston keeps Alex Bregman back. I don't really know how long. Maybe a 7-year, $400 million contract. I think that Bregman can stay in Boston.
Pete Alonso. He opted out of his contract. I mean, the Yankees are a possibility for his services, but I'm going to say he stays in Queens.
I'm torn on this one. I think he goes to the Yankees. I think he goes across town. And the reason why is because no Paul Goldschmidt, and unless you're comfortable with Ben Rice playing first, which I think they're more comfortable with him playing catcher anyway, I'm going to say that Alonso goes to the Yankees. I'm going to say for 3 years. 3 years, $90 million.
Why do you think Pete Alonso goes to the Bronx instead of staying in Queens?
Because I think the Mets – well, I think, number one, what's the number one problem with Pete Alonso? He's a Scott Boras client. And Scott Boras clients are going to do everything they can to get the most money for their clients. It's annoying, but it's absolutely how Scott Boras rolls. But I just think the Mets have plans at first base. I mean, they begged and pleaded Alonso to come back, even though he didn't want to come back. I think the Yankees get him back because, like I said, no Paul Goldschmidt at first for the Yankees. I think you bring in Alonso, and I think he goes across town.
And then talk about Cody Bellinger. The Dodgers are rumored to have a reunion with him.
Yeah.
The Blue Jays could be in on him. Where do you think Cody Bellinger goes?
I know you said that he stays in pinstripes. I think he stays in the Yankees. I think it's going to be probably an 8-year deal. I can't put a financial number in my head, but as long as Hal Steinbrenner does not get cheap, I think that's going to keep Cody Bellinger around.
Well, you still have Spencer Jones that's coming up, but you can also move Cody Bellinger to first base if you have to.
Yeah, you mentioned Spencer Jones. That's an interesting point that you brought up because Spencer Jones, it's only a matter of time before this guy gets called up. I don't know when he's going to get called up, but it's only a matter of time. And I think that if you have to pivot, then I think you call Spencer Jones if you lose Cody. The Dodgers, the thing with them is they can do whatever they want. I mean, one thing that I mentioned to you before we came on was the Yankees of the 90s. They did the same thing the Dodgers are doing now, which is spending money that they don't even have and acquiring players, and then they pay them later, and it works out. That's what the Dodgers are doing. And you know what? I had a little problem with it in the beginning, but I commend it. And, if Cody does go to L.A., I'm interested to see how the Dodgers roster will be.
Well, there was some. This is an interesting segment from Bob Nightingale here.
Sure.
He said that the Blue Jays are expected to re-sign star shortstop Bo Bichette, who has been in the center of free agency and trade talks for a while. And he was expected to depart Toronto a year ago.
Yeah.
But they're also a finalist. The Jays are also a finalist in the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes with the Yankees and Dodgers and Giants, but I think Kyle Tucker will end up being a Dodger. But now we go to the starting pitcher market. With Dylan Cease, what are your thoughts on this? I predict he's going to sign with the Chicago Cubs.
Dylan Cease, huh? I think so. I think the Padres are at the point now where they're going to start seeing a lot of their players leave. I think they put all their eggs in their basket for this year's playoffs. They fell flat on their face against the Cubs, and I think they're going to see a lot of their star players leaving. I think Fernando Tatis Jr. is the only exception, but I can absolutely see Dylan Cease putting on a Cubs uniform.
What about Framber Valdez? Do you think he stays in Houston, or do you think he signs with a different team? And if so, who?
I can't see Framber Valdez going anywhere. I think he stays with the Astros.
And what about some relief pitchers? Let's start with Edwin Diaz, Narco.
Oh, yeah.
Does Narco stay in Citi Field? Or do you think Edwin Diaz takes Narco with him to Dodger Stadium?
You know what? I like this question a lot, and I think part of the reason why is because the Dodgers bullpen, as mediocre as they can be, could use as many arms as possible, and I think Edwin Diaz is your guy to go to L.A.
If that happens, sound the trumpets.
Oh, yeah.
Sound the trumpets in L.A. if that happens.
Yep.
And let's talk about Devin Williams here. Where do you think he goes and why? I mean, do you think the Jays are a potential fit for him if he were to be their closer and all that? Because Jeff Hoffman wasn't really it.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of complaints about Jeff Hoffman in Toronto. I've heard a lot of complaints. Devin Williams did finish the season strong, though, and I think I wouldn't have a problem with him leaving. And I think that the reason why I wouldn't have a problem with Devin Williams leaving is because I think we got our guy in the Yankees in David Bednar. I think David Bednar is going to be our closer long term. And if that's the case, I think Devin Williams probably goes to Toronto, picks up right where he left off, and I think that the Blue Jays get a new closer, and I think Jeff Hoffman goes packing.
Yeah, I think Jeff Hoffman stays. I think he might be a setup guy, which I think
he could
he's
be
best at.
He could.
But I don't think the Jays are going to trade Jeff Hoffman.
Well, I think the one thing that you mentioned, that he could be a setup guy because when Devin Williams was struggling as the closer, they made him a setup guy to David Bednar, and it worked. And then Devin Williams went on to have a really good run. So I can absolutely see that being a possibility, but Jeff Hoffman does not get a lot of love in Toronto anymore. I think that's part of the problem.
Do you think Tanner Scott bounces back after a rough year he had? Because, the Dodgers need a lot of bullpen arms, but I still believe in Tanner Scott.
He did have a rough year. I think one thing you got to do, I think Tanner Scott could be your setup guy. I think one thing that I saw over the last couple months with the Dodgers is, I know you want him to be a starter, but Roki Sasaki could absolutely be your star closer in Major League Baseball if you make him that way. I think Sasaki's good as a starter, but that's the luxury of him. He could do good for 5 innings. He could do good for 1. But I think Sasaki could be your closer. I think Tanner Scott could be your setup guy. But if you get Edwin Diaz, I think that changes.
I think Roki will be in the rotation for the Dodgers next year.
Now, are you going to say that if indeed you get Edwin Diaz?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, that's fair enough.
But before we go here, we got to talk about some college football here. But
sure.
What were your thoughts on this Brian Kelly lawsuit?
Lawsuit? You mean
I mean, he was fired and then he's already suing LSU.
Oh, God. First off, Brian Kelly got himself into this mess. He was the guy who faked the Southern accent when coming to Baton Rouge to try and win people over, and it didn't work. And also, the governor of Louisiana got involved in this whole Brian Kelly stuff. I don't know where LSU goes from here. And honest to God, I think the program is going to start afresh, but it's just disappointing because LSU is typically a really good football program, but they were a shell of themselves this year, and I think Brian Kelly was the cause of it. As far as who gets the spot as the next head coach, maybe Ed Orgeron, their former head coach who won them the Natty in 2019, could come back, although LSU is trying to reject him pretty hard. But LSU is just a mess. Brian Kelly, you got yourself into this mess. You sue your lawsuit against LSU, good luck. You're going to lose.
Why do you say good luck with Brian Kelly and all this drama that he caused?
Because he didn't have to go to LSU. He could have stayed at Notre Dame with a team that was thriving, but he left them like a coward to go to a bigger program. And then Marcus Freeman, who's been killing it with Notre Dame, is having much more success than LSU is right now. And I think that Brian Kelly did this to himself. I think that he's paying the consequences for his actions, and that's what he deserves.
I mean, he definitely is. But anyways, with that being said, that's going to do it here, and I'll see you later.
Take care, everybody. Have a good night.